friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Automation Testing Online. In today's video we are going to study about vmodel. Vmodel is also one of the important model in SDLC. Now what is a vmodel? Vmodel is also referred as validation or verification model. In vmodel each phase has to be completed before the next phase begins. vmodel follows a sequential design process similar to waterfall model. And here both the testing and developing are done parallelly. The most important point is that in vmodel testing is done after each phase. Now let us understand by looking into the diagram. As the name suggests, we can see here an V shape, and these phases follows an sequential order. These are the verification phases and these are the validation phases. Before we are understanding what is verification and what is validation, we'll study about the phases so that we could get a clear idea about verification and validation. So here the first phase is BRS, Business Requirement Specification. It is also called as Customer Requirement Specification or User Requirement Specification, which means that this BRS document has to be collected from the client. As usual, the first step is to collect the BRS document from the client and BA will analyze the document and BA will understand the expectations and exact requirement of the client. So BRS document is the document which contains all the details, the end-to-end requirement of the client. The next phase is System Requirement Specification, so also called as SRS document. This document is prepared for the team members because BRS document is only for business people. So for understanding purpose, this SRS document will be created. SRS document is created based on the BRS document. Now the next phases are high level design and low level design. So what is high level design? High level design contains of the main module and low level design contains of the sub modules. Firstly, we'll understand what are modules. For example, let us take an example that a Gmail application. So in Gmail application, we have functionalities such as composing, inbox, sendbox, and trash. We have such functionalities. So the main module is Gmail and the submodules are inbox, compose, sendbox, trash, etc. So high level design consists of main module which is Gmail and low level design consists of submodules which are, as I said, inbox, compose, sendbox, trash, etc. The next phase is coding. Here developers will start to write coding for each module. As I said earlier, after each phase testing will be conducted. It is not that the testers will be conducting the testing, but here the testing is conducted by the team itself. After BRS document is collected, a reviewing will be done. Here reviewing is considered as testing. So after each phase and reviewing will be done. After system requirement specification and reviewing will be done. Similarly for high level design and low level design. So for after each phases, the reviewing will be done, which is otherwise called as testing. Here we are not actually testing the software. We are just reviewing the documents. We are reviewing to make sure that the content in the document is right or not and whether we are developing the product accordingly or not. So only for those purposes we are reviewing the documents. So which is why these phases falls under verification phases. And these are also called as static testing. What is static testing? Static testing is testing the documents. We are not testing the software. We are testing the documents through techniques like reviewing, inspections, and walkthroughs. So friends, now we understood what is static testing and what is verification. I'll give the definition about verification and validation at the end of the video. Now, the next phase is unit testing. Once the coding is done, developers will be doing unit testing. In unit testing, developers has to check the internal code of the application to make sure that the application works properly. So unit testing comes under white box testing. What is white box testing? White box testing, as the name suggests, it is clear. It means that we have to test, it means that developers has to test the internal code. Developers has to test the individual module of the source code. So friends, this is the definition for white box testing. Testing the internal code structure of the module. It is done by the development team. The next phase is integration testing. Integration testing is the process of testing the interfaces between two software units, and integration testing has types, which we will discuss in my upcoming videos. So both the integration testing and unit testing comes under white box testing. The next testing is system testing. This is the phase where testers actually come into picture. System testing is testing from end to end. It means that we have to test the complete application, complete system to make sure that the application works as intended. The next testing is acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is also called as user acceptance testing. Here the testing is done by the end users along with the testers to make sure that the functionality of the applications are working properly or not. So both the acceptance testing and system testing comes under black box testing. Now, what is black box testing? Black box testing is just only testing the exterior functionalities of the application, whether the application works as intended, whether the application has met the customer expectations. So these two testing comes under black box testing. Coming to the definition of black box testing, so this is the definition of black box testing, friends. It is testing only the exterior function to ensure that whether the application works as intended. We are just testing only the flow of the application. We are not testing the internal code structure of the application. That is actually performed by developers, which is called as white box testing. Checking the internal code structure is done by developers, called as white box testing, and checking only the flow and whether the application works as intended, only those things are tested by testers, which is called as black box testing. Now these phases come under validation phases, and these testings are called as dynamic testing. What is dynamic testing? Dynamic testing is testing the actual software. We are not testing the documents. Here we are testing the actual software. So testing the software is called as dynamic testing using testing techniques like acceptance testing, system testing, integration testing, and unit testing is called as dynamic testing. So friends, this is the definition of dynamic testing. UAT testing is user acceptance testing. Now we could have got a clear idea what is verification and validation. These phases are said to be verification phases because we are only verifying the documents, and these phases are said to be validation phases because we are validating the software. And also in verification is that we are it is a process that ensures whether we are developing the right product or not. That is, it is to verify that we are developing the product accordingly or not. Activities involved in verification phases would be reviews, walkthroughs, and inspections. Coming to validation, validation is the process to ensure that whether the product we have developed is right or not. That is to validate that whether the developed product is working intent as intended or not. Whether we have developed the right product is called as validation phase. And validation phases includes techniques like unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. As we can see here, each phase has an input. For acceptance testing, BRS document is the input. For system testing, SRS document is the input. Similarly, for integration testing and unit testing. So each phase in the validation phases are based on the BRS, I mean the verification phases. For so it means that the verification phase and validation phases are done parallelly. That is, the development and the testing are done parallelly. Now we'll understand about the advantages and disadvantages of vmodel. The advantage of vmodel is that the testing is done after each phase. As I said, reviewing will be done after each phase. Uh, we, we are doing reviewing to check whether the content in the document is right or not. For that purpose, we are doing. So by following a reviewing process, we can ensure that the document there are no mistakes in the document. So that is one advantage in vmodel. And the disadvantages are documentation is more because creating a document is not an easy task. It takes more time and effort. So documentation, creating a documentation is more in vmodel, which is an disadvantage. And also initial investment is more. In the previous models, as we studied in waterfall model and agile model, only after the project begins the testers and developers will get into work. But here, from the beginning itself, testers and developers has to be hired, and vmodel is expensive because of that reason. So these are the two disadvantages in vmodel. So I hope friends you have got a clear idea about vmodel. We'll meet up in my next video. Thank you.